Thank you for joining Business Intelligence and Analytics. In this session, I am Dr. Nina Tan. I specialize in business management and I am a passionate serial entrepreneur. So glad that you're able to join me and tune in.
I think it's probably good to stand in your position. So I rather stand in your position in your businesses, and that's why we started off by understanding you. I think that there are four types of categorized needs that you may be encountering. So the first one could be core capabilities. It could be your financial management, whether or not your business model is appropriate for your business, or maybe with the COVID, you may want to revisit the business model and reinvent, and also to make sure that the working capital, so that's financial management and human resource management, performance management, change management, behavioral core capabilities. The next category could be productivity for those who are doing manufacturing, which I saw, and you have resources and you want to know whether you're using your resources adequately, whether the capacity is utilized to the optimum. So analytics can help rethinking how you design your processes, change management in terms of restructuring organization. So that could be an area, okay? The third category could be that you are in a situation whereby you are scaling and growing, and that Singapore market may be a little bit too close up for you, and that you want to scale, you want economies of scale. So the third category is for globalization, to get more access to various countries overseas, so by forming global partnerships and to do mergers and acquisitions. The fourth category could be strategies. So it could be, hey, why is it my business is kind of stagnant, right? And that, is there something I am not seeing? So this strategic thinking, the business modeling and remodeling, the branding, maybe I had to get myself out there, my products out there, social media, marketing. So branding and market development could be the fourth categories. These four categories have different kinds of grants that will help you. For example, EDG, and then skills future training, mentorship programs, which I will talk about, and also productivity technology solutions that IMDA Tech Depot is all about. Okay, in case you're like wondering where to get resource to know much more than what I'm covering today, what I'm covering today will give you a kind of a compass. And then you might decide that, hey, I want to go in and check it out. So these are the on top, you see the website addresses. Let's talk about how to make this happen for you, okay? So the best way to show how it can be done is to walk you through some of the case studies. First case study is about $1 million and below revenue. It is an education center. It's in the third year of a startup. So their issues are the following. They have seasonal demand. The second issue that they have is about human resource. The number of the qualified teachers is just basically insufficient. The third issue is that there is growth constraints. They find that they are plateauing. How do we address this issue with them, right? We now have a program. We help you to rethink and innovate your current business model so that you have better possibility and insights in order to give yourself more opportunities. So in this case, for the education center, the difference was when I did the remodel of their business model, it became quite clear that they had to move towards the virtual LMS, learning management systems, and that they had to rejuvenate their teaching intervention methods, and that in order to make sure that the staff stays and that they're not jeopardized when there is a turnover, we turn to digital technology. With regards to the business model, we revisited how they could expand their classes with different subject matters, combination of different subject matters. And we also realized that the channel to the market can go beyond what they have, which is brick and mortar, into licensing, franchising, and virtual. So there you see, the business model allows them to tap on technology so that, such as analytics and such as learning management systems, so that they can track the progress of the students and how the improvement in their students help them to get better marks, and how the teacher's attitude towards teaching how a teacher attitude has improved, or how many teachers we can manage many teachers tracking their attitudes and see how their attitudes have changed, and how the change in their attitudes can lead to a change in the profit and loss of the company. So it's a very powerful realization of how a remodel of your business model and adoption of technology can lead to a great impact to your business. So as a result of the business model innovation equation, tapping on EDG business modeling, tapping on IMDA learning management system analytics, also with training and the human resource grants, those grants help them over a period of time. We were able to revamp the growth business model, implement the virtual learning system, and then do micro-target marketing, because now you understand the customer, the parents, the children's behavior, which then led to a prominent business impact. And that's what we do. We handhold you, and then we monitor what happens. So then we saw that there was an impact in that they were now, because they are virtual, they are no longer just brick and mortar, they have the capacity to grow overseas. With that, the business valuation has increased because your potential has increased, and then they were given merger propositions. So that was the first case study. The second case study is about a operational constraint, logistic or production manufacturing. So anybody who needs resources, asset utilization, people, so long as it's either people, time, or asset-based, you have certain constraints, capacity constraints. So this company is above 1 million, and they have that resource constraints, and they were turning away jobs. They were turning away jobs because they didn't have enough capacity. And so therefore led to the third issue, which is a slowdown in the service and delivery, because you were just building up the funnel, and therefore there was a bottleneck. So again, we trained them, and we trained them with a kind of a 5M approach. Revisited the purpose, reinvent their business model, such that they now could use subcontractors to tide over seasonality. We do predictive analytics, so we took a lot of their data from their different silos and legacy system, and then we helped them to manage their costs better, to be better in terms of their profitability. And in terms of capacity utilization, zooming it using data analytics and data capture, and finally giving them that business remodeling so that they have this growth potential after the business remodeling. So this is what we did. We had an in-house training and coaching. We collected the data from all the legacy manual systems, and then we processed it using analytics, and then we were able to see exactly what were the performance levers that would up the capacity or down the capacity. And it wasn't necessary to buy additional what we call trucks, because they were running logistics, right? Truck. And it wasn't necessary to increase their headcount in the first instance, because if you do that, you don't resolve the fundamental problem. The fundamental problem with insights from the data was the way you schedule your people, the way you pack your trucks, the size of your trucks, and the routes. So therefore, that was another case study that we did, a real client. As a result, we tap on productivity, we train and coach them in-house. We did the human resource subsidies, which then led to the redesign of their processes, so that they can capture the data. And then we run an ERP system that makes them a little bit more seamless so that we can capture the data for a longer period effect. Finally, most importantly, the impact was that they increased the capacity 2 times. They no longer, therefore, even if you were to increase the number of resources, at least now you know that whatever that you increase by 1 head count, by 1 truck, you now know how to increase the capacity usage by 2 times, which therefore leads to, because of economies of scale, increase in revenue generation by 2 times, 5 times, 2.5 times. And I'm very happy to say that we positioned and packaged them as a result to be ready for an M&A. So there was a partial sale in this case because the person coming in wanted them to stay around and man the show. So that was a second case study. The third case study is about hospitality, trading, retail. Some of you came from there. Above 3 million revenue in this particular case. And it was a hotel, actually. And they had branches of shops and food and beverages. The revenue was getting a little bit stagnant, and the processes were still semi-manual. In this case, what we had to do was we had to do quantitative and qualitative analysis, whereby we look at the customers. Basically, the objective was to understand the customer's behavior, because we wanted to understand why they were getting stagnant revenue. So we did a demographic customer analysis, their buying habits, who's the one who book, what's the demographics of people who buy and book and come, which day do they come, which kind of deluxe or single room or double bed, what kind of bookings they make, where do they book? Do they go through social media? What social media, Travelog, where did they book? And then we kind of track the quantitative side, which is the result of their preferences. We track the type of booking, the timing of their bookings, and the time where they visited the hotels, etc., or the F&B or the retail. With those data, we then convert it and so that we can micro market to the right groups of people with the right products. So we call that the micro marketing technique. We like to give you the fishing rod so that you can continue to get your own fish, right? So therefore, training is very much either in-house or whether at SMU Academy. We think that it's necessary to impart this secret of how we get there so that you can replicate the secret source all the time. So we teach them how to be critical in their thinking, how to analyze their data, and how to pick out the real issue, how to resolve the issue. So we did that in-house training so that now they know how to identify the right data to discover business insights. So now that they know how to predict what the customers want, they are able to then micro market, target the right people with the right product and service so that they can influence their buying behaviors. And the result of that, the EDG strategic financial planning and remodeling helped them to get clarity. Which particular segment they should be hitting, what kind of customers are preferring what, so that they can revamp the rooms to suit the customers' preferences and tastes. And also to personalize their service, just like SIA. They need personal information. That's the reason for the demographics, not to sell, but to enable to optimize when the next customer comes in. You want the customer to repeat so that the cost for getting that customer is reduced. So we did strategic financial planning. Then we bought a CRM, POS, which is heavily subsidized by the government. And we did the internal training. Importantly, we coached them through, which then led to a remodeling of the segment of the people they want to target to, whether it's corporate, whether it's private with family, etc. We model to the extent of knowing the customer's behaviors so that we can micro target the marketing to the customers, which results in surely the increase in revenue, which therefore lighten up the price cost squeeze, right? And which then result them being ready for opening up another hotel in both in Singapore, but also has a presence overseas, right, in Southeast Asia. So that would increase their business valuation. And by the way, they were actually brought over. There was a turnover of hands twice. So looking at the case study, you might want to rethink, what do you want first? Is it to help yourself, to help your organization by upskilling the core capabilities via business modeling, financial planning, HR performance, finding a way to put the KPI so that they're incentivized in the right way towards your strategic objectives? Or is it about branding and marketing? But I always think that, in order to brand properly, we need to do marketing analytics. So are these the ones and the core capabilities? Because we really want to make sure that you get the fishing rod, not just the fish, right? And secondly, the productivity. So even if you want to brand, like the case study we did on logistics. So even if you are in a good state where you have good revenue, good customers coming to you, do you know that you could be better if there was fine-tuning on the way your asset was utilized? So the foundation is important, because as you scale, you may not have time to come back to that. So this is actually a good time to look at automation, process redesign, and product development. So the third thing is about maybe moving a little bit away, moving away from manual processes and into technology-driven processes. So certainly, most definitely, accounting analytics is like 101, right? And secondly is about the CRM, because now we need to understand the customers' behaviors so that we can influence and help in a good way towards their buying behaviors by letting them see the insights. So the CRM and POS, for example, my F&B client did that. Even a beauty school just did that also yesterday, whereby they buy it so that they can monitor what product, what preferences, what loyalty programs, what can they do in terms of rewarding the customers. So CRM and POS does that. A learning management system for people who are wanting to educate, and therefore learning management system will allow you to put your materials, your videos, all up on the system so that you can globalize. Training is very much involved in everything, because we believe in passing you the fishing rod. So the way to do that is to train and coach you along. Okay, so if you're ready, the question is whether the basic 101, whether you qualify, okay? So it depends on what grant you want. The quantum may differ based on my experience, okay? So this 80% of qualified costs, right, which is consultancy, which is training, and to a certain extent systems, is only available up to 80% from 1st of April to 31st December, because this is a critical year for the country. What happens after that, right? So what happens after that is that it will come down to normal levels.
Thank you for watching. If you're interested in knowing more about your business expansion, either with government support grants or with SkillsFuture training programs, please feel free to contact us at 6255-5101 or write to us at admin@8nalytics.com. See you soon. Goodbye.